This is Red, White, and Bluegrass.
When someone is convicted of a felony in Kentucky, their right to vote is lost. In 2019, Governor Andy Beshear automatically restored voting rights to more than 140,000 Kentuckians who had completed their sentence in all but the most serious crimes. Two state senators, a Democrat and a Republican, are renewing a push for the 2026 session to make automatic voting rights restoration permanent in the state constitution. There would still be exceptions for serious and violent crimes and would require a formerly incarcerated person to complete any additional probation time before rights are restored.
But if that executive order goes away, that person would not be able to vote. And so there is just some complexities with executive orders that I believe that it is up to us as a General Assembly to go ahead and change this on the Constitution and allow the people of Kentucky to decide.
Kentucky is among only 3 states, the others being Iowa and Florida, where there is no guarantee in the law or the state constitution that voting rights may ever be restored. Here, it's just up to the governor. If passed by the General Assembly, the proposal would appear on your ballot during the next election. So, Representative Lockett, let's start with you here. This proposal has passed the Senate before, I believe it was in 2020. What would you like to see happen over in the House if it's able to come up for a vote? Would you support it?
I think it's a complex issue, and I think there's a lot of questions that kind of come around that. I believe it is something that I would vote to allow the people to decide if it's something that they wanted. But you know, in terms of questions kind of surrounding that, you have to get into how long is there a waiting period? Are there certain ones that would not apply? So it is certainly worthy of a very good, robust discussion.
What do you think, Representative Moore?
I'm for this, and just like Rep. Lockett said, there's going to be some things that would need to be kind of smoothed out. Years of waiting period, if there's any extra steps that go along with that. We say if you don't want to do the time, then don't do the crime. Okay, once you've done your time, do we want them to reintegrate with society, or do we want a high recidivism rate where people end up back into the correctional system? And I think we want them to be productive, healthy members of society, and part of that is restoring their basic civil rights or democratic rights, and that is voting. And again, there are some details we'd have to work out, but absolutely I want those people to be thriving members of Kentucky society once they've served their time.
And again, this would be an amendment, so even if the vote comes before lawmakers, there is still a vote that has to happen before the people too. If we make it all the way to November, this ends up being something that is passed, it's on the ballots, and we go into that sort of campaign season. Any sort of thinking about what sort of a campaign environment would look like with this on the ballot?
I think that's a great question, and I think one of the questions that I get is why does it have to be on the ballot? Well, because it's in our Constitution. And so to go on the ballot, of course, it has to pass both chambers with a 60% vote. But I think during campaign season, I think it would probably fall kind of as some of the other issues have. There would be some that campaign for it, some that campaign against it. I think a lot of people would kind of see it as, well, you know, what is this? What does it mean? What am I actually voting on? And of course, that's incumbent upon the people that would be for it to actually talk about that.
And Kentuckians have gotten used to voting on ballot initiatives recently. We can think about the charter schools or the ability to use vouchers in this last election, reproductive rights being on the ballot 2 years before that. So people have gotten used to, how do we message and get the word out there about an issue that's not a candidate? And people have gotten used to learn how to pay attention to that and know how to go into the voting booth and be informed doing so. So Kentuckians can handle that, and those who really care about the issue one way or the other will find a way to get the word out, to get the message out to the voters on it.
You think it's possible there could be any confusion over this that you may have to sort of, you know, walk through, not just with voters, but perhaps even between lawmakers? We saw during the committee itself there was a discrepancy and a few questions over, well, does voting rights restoration equate to, you know, full-on expungement? How do you think those questions and things may be addressed as this issue is debated through the session?
I think there's always questions. You know, anytime you put a ballot measure on the ballot, there's always questions because of the way it's written. Of course, it's written by attorneys, and not to throw attorneys under the bus, but because of the way it's written, it has to be. And so people will walk into the voting booth, see this long thing, and immediately just vote no because they don't understand it. So we've seen that before. We've seen that with other ballot measures that were brought up. And so it's important how it's written. It's important that it's easy to understand. It's important that people know exactly what they're voting on.
Just a few seconds left here.
He's exactly right, because the full thing has to be printed on that ballot, which means you're asking people to read it. So how do we make sure it's clear, understandable, but also there needs to be enough meat on that bone that we can enforce that and make sure it carries once it is passed, if it does pass.
We always hope for our voters to be tuned into the issues whenever they make it to the ballot box.
Absolutely.